Audio is going to suck for this, but we're just going to do a quick repair here. We've got an iPhone 6s Plus with no touch. Nothing going on. You can replace the screen on this as many times as you want, but behold, there will be no touch response. And I just want to do a quick stream just to show you why. So, without further ado, let's get the screen off of here. Make sure the battery's unplugged first. And I'll let you see what I see. You see it? It's a little fuzzy. How about now? You see it? Yeah, you do. So it appears that at some point someone went to disconnect this and probably just dug in there with whatever tool they were using. They sell plastic tools to pry connectors off. It's good practice to use plastic, but it's certainly not foolproof. It's certainly not impervious to this type of damage. So, to fix this, what we're going to do is first peel away all this little foam stuff. Foam stuff is nice, but let's be honest, it's not preventing anything bad from happening, especially by the time it gets under my microscope. Any benefit this foam could have had. What's going on up there? Hello. By the time it gets here, this foam can't help anymore. So we're just going to get rid of it. I don't want to get rid of the capacitor and filter that came up with it though. Let's just set those over here for safekeeping for now. My goodness. You want to see what I'm looking at? I'm just setting these down. We'll have to test these. Ooh, I just flung one. Okay, well, there it is. This repair should be quick enough to easy enough that I don't even need to take the board out of the phone. That's the hope. So let's get all this out of the way. A little bit of alcohol can help reduce the grip of the adhesive holding it down. That's probably enough on that side. Let's get this cleared up. If the whole thing comes up, that's okay. I'm honestly not going to bother putting it back down. I think in theory, this stuff is here to help prevent liquid from getting to the connector. That's what my guess is. Alright, so let's double check and make sure. I bet there's a lot of ways to do this. Let's do it both ways. So one of those is a filter. You can see there's a total of 4 empty pads. These two have nice round solder balls, so there were no stuff to begin with. There wasn't anything there. Similar to this, and this. These two are flat, where the solder has been, basically the solder connection's been broken. So we get a quick beep on both sides on there, and one is a ground. So the capacitor is going to go here. The filter is going to go here. How do you know that? What is a capacitor and what's a filter? capacitor is kind of like a miniature battery. It's there for voltage smoothing. The filter is a fuse, so it completes the circuit. So really in practice, we don't even necessarily need to replace the capacitor because this little touch line, maybe we should cover what exactly those two do. Let's take a quick look before we start fixing. Okay. So what do we have? Looking at it from here, this is no stuff. This is no stuff. Here's FL 4215 SPI AP to, what's that say? Touch. So this is a touch screen data line. S clock, we're going to assume that stands for system clock. I'm satisfied with that explanation. So the touch screen needs to be synchronized with the system clock, which it does by talking to the processor and just sharing that system clock with the touchscreen. And of course, if you accidentally open that circuit, now your touchscreen is not communicating with the processor on the system clock line, and that is going to say no touch for you. So let's re-tin these pads. Let's not bridge the pads underneath it. Back fingers. Okay. Now we need to make sure we're putting the correct component in the correct spot. This one, I believe, is the filter. Okay. Let's switch the camera. Yeah, let's just touch the other one just to verify. So we have continuity across one, and we do not have continuity across the other. When we have continuity across is the filter, by design. And without continuity is going to be the capacitor. So those will go in their respective spots. Wherein using multimeter leads like chopsticks. Just get these in place on one side, and tack down the other side. I believe that's going to be a wrap. Now, do we have the ability to test this filter without touching it? Ordinarily, when you're on a AP to touch line, the other side, the AP is going to be directly on the processor. Oh, you know what we can do? We can test it. We can do it. It can be done. Let's go ahead. So we go pin 22 to this side of the filter and this capacitor. Then we have this side of the filter and this capacitor. What was pin 22? So it's this one, two, this one. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so we have continuity across this filter without touching, so we know it's in place. I'm just going to touch this one more time with the iron to make sure that we're nice and seated on our capacitor as well. This circuit can live just fine without the capacitor, but we're here, we got this far. We might as well put it down. Okay. Okay, now, the moment of truth, let's see if it actually works. So, we'll plug our customer's screen back in. And we'll power the phone back on. Okay. Moment of truth. And here we are. Now that the touchscreen is receiving its clock signal from the processor, it can do all its other touchscreen stuff. And that's it. This happens all the time on the 6S. The other thing it can be is if you lose an output on Chestnut, the digitizer can also not be receiving power. In this case, this is kind of pry damage, kind of a classic problem. But anyway, thanks for watching. Be careful with your connectors. Use fingernails. That's the best way to get them undone.